Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we're going to be talking about the spell Giant Insect. I've got the Legacy version up here. We're going to talk about how this one works again. We're going to talk about how the new 2024 version works. We're going to compare and contrast the differences between the two spells. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some good ways to use this new spell. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, back in the day, I gave this spell a B-. So are we going to give the new 2024 version the same score, a better score, or a worse score? Well, let's take a look at this spell first and foremost. So the Legacy version was a 4th level spell with 1 action, 30-foot range. It lasted for 10 minutes. It was a concentration spell. So you were able to transform up to 10 centipedes, 3 spiders, 5 wasps, or 1 scorpion within range into giant versions of their natural forms. And then they had stats in the Legacy Monster Manual for giant scorpions, giant spiders, giant wasps, or giant centipedes. They obeyed you. They went on your turn. The GM had the statistics, and they remain in that size for the duration or until they drop to 0. So, and then there was some flavor stuff. So you got a whole bunch of kind of hit point bags, essentially, that might hit, might not hit. Remember, at this level, your 7th level when you start casting these spells. Oh, and this is usable by druids. Now, that is to say it's not only usable by druids, but the class that's listed is druids. There are ways for several other classes to get this, but we're going to concentrate on that one. So it was okay. You could, make 10 centipedes. They didn't have a lot of hit points, but they were 10 different targets that had hit points. They might hit, they might not. You could have rolled a 20, all that. So it was an okay spell. Now, let's take a look at the new version. Here is the new version, and it is quite a bit different. It's still a 4th level spell. It's 1 action in a range of 30 feet. It has a duration still of 10 minutes with concentration, and it is still only usable by druids. Okay? And I know we're going to, somebody's going to say, oh, but other classes to get it. Yeah, there are other classes that can probably get this spell. I'm not going to go through that. So you summon a giant centipede, spider, or wasp, chosen when you cast this spell. And this is kind of a theme with a lot of these spells that are in the new player's handbook. They give us a generic stat block, and you choose one of 3 formats for it, and then there's different things they can do. So you choose either centipede, spider, or wasp. It manifests within 60 feet and uses the stat block below, which we're going to talk about. Here it is. And the form you chooses, there's certain details that come with it, and the creature disappears when it goes to 0. It's your ally, and it shares your initiative, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your commands, which doesn't require an action. And if you don't use any, it does a dodge action and uses its movement to avoid danger. And you can upcast this spell to increase certain things in its stat block. So, for instance, it has an armor class of 11 plus the spell's level, which means it's 15 if you cast it as the base. And that can go up according to the spell slot that you use. It has 30 hit points and then another 10 hit points for each spell level above 4. So it is a bag of 30 hit points. There's different movement speeds. The wasp has the fly speed. And it doesn't really say the other two, the spider or the centipede. I'm going to assume they both have a 40-foot base speed and a 40-foot climb speed. And then there's their stats. They've all got dark vision. Pretty standard stuff. So spider climb. The insect can, so this is all of them. They can climb difficult surfaces along ceilings without needing to make an ability check. Okay. They get multiple attacks, so they get a minimum of 2 attacks. They all have a poison jab. So that would be Jaws for the spider and the centipede, and it would probably, well, it could be a Jaws attack or a stinger attack for the wasp. So bonus equal to your spell attack modifier, which is pretty good. Reach of 10 feet, which is great. And then it does 1d6 plus 3 plus the spell's level in piercing damage. So that would be 1d6 plus 7 plus 1d4 poison damage. That's not a lot of damage, by the way. But it is 2 attacks. So on average, it's going to do about 12 points of damage if it hits. The spider, which this is very useful, gets a web bolt. So you roll an attack to hit. It has a range of 60 feet, which is good. It actually does damage, 1d10 plus 3 plus the spell's level in bludgeoning damage. So that's going to be on average 12 damage. And the target speed is reduced to 0 until the start of the insect's next turn. That is no saving throw for that. And that's great. It doesn't get any condition, it just has no speed. It's not restrained, it's not grappled, it's just a speed of 0. So that's pretty good, and especially since there is no saving throw to that. And as far as I know, the only thing they can get out of that is grappling. And then finally, as a bonus action, centipedes can spit venom, poison, whatever you want to call it. Constitution saving throw equal to your spell DC. That's not the best saving throw to target, but it is what it is. One creature the insect can see within 10 feet, so it's got to be pretty close. And if they fail the save, they get the poison condition until the start of the insect's next turn. Poison means it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. So that's the basis of the spell. Now, I like a few things in this. I do like that we get the web bolt, and we can reduce something's speed to 0. All we have to do is hit. That's it. And it's a pretty good 2-hit roll, and it's got a pretty good range, and it still does damage. So that's a freebie control. I think out of all 3 of these, the wasp is probably the weakest. Then I would probably go, the middle one is the spider, and then I would go with the centipede because of the poison condition. And I do want to remind you of using it in conjunction with the spell. Now, this is a warlock wizard spell, summon undead. But the reason I bring this up is if you have a putrid undead and they hit something that is poisoned, it is paralyzed. So you could have these two things happen. So if you poison something with giant insect, it's poisoned until the start of the insect's next turn. And then let's say right after that, the putrid undead hits it. That means that that creature is now paralyzed until the end of the paralyzed creature's next turn. So those two things can work in conjunction very well. The putrid can do the poison condition with this festering aura, but you could be, using it with different things. So I do like this spell quite a bit. I am going to bump this up to a B+ just because of the different control measures that are within this spell. I do like a lot of control. I do like the speed to 0, and I do like the possibility of putting the poison condition is a pretty good condition to put on. Not a bad condition. Disadvantage on ability checks. That can come in handy for things like grappling if they're trying to get out of a grapple. And, of course, everybody loves it when the enemy has disadvantage on attack rolls. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody.